All right, you ready? So here's like the intro part. To bra or not to bra? Exploring a journey of life's unpredictable twists and turns, how to claim your personal power from within and lead a fun, fulfilled, soul-driven life, one epic, hilarious, insightful coffee chat at a time. Let's get real. Let's get raw. This is your host, Em, on Bra or Not to Bra. All right, take two. Let's try this again.
Yeah.
Yay! Okay, how am I now?
Perfect. I can
Still
see
naked?
you. You can see me. Still naked, but here we are.
Let's go. Today's episode of To Bra or Not to Bra is with Kayla Jetta. And the title, do you want to tell them the title?
Yes, the title is To Effing Love Yourself or Not to Effing Love Yourself.
That's the question. Are you ready to dive in?
I'm ready. And my brother's on. Hi, Nick.
Oh, hey, Nick.
Wow, what a fun hangout. Look at this crew.
Kayla,
Okay,
did you know that Nick and I are friends on Instagram? Like, we message each other.
Oh, dang, you just slid into his DMs.
I did. Well, actually, Nick, did you do it first? I can't remember. Okay, to effing love yourself
Here we go.
or to not effing love yourself. Let's dive in and try to make me look like I'm dressed. Kayla.
Okay.
Who the hell are you? Tell us.
Okay, so as a human, who I am is someone who is generous and compassionate and sometimes a little bit selfish and big-hearted. I have big emotions. That's who I am as a human. I'm also a dog mom and soon to be a wife. I'm getting married in less than
Like
25 days.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool. And then when I'm working,
That's pretty cool, low key.
I'm super pumped. Then when I'm working, I am an ontological life coach. I specifically support soulful entrepreneurs. And maybe you're like, onto what? So ontology is the study of being. So when I'm working with my clients on skyrocketing their business, building juicy lives, standing in their worth and their power, we're always doing it from a perspective of making sure that we bring the humanness of us and we don't separate who we are as humans from our business.
Yes. And your coaching practice, because guys, how cool. Her and her mom do the practice together. They look the same age. It's ridiculous, but it's amazing. Shout out to Lisa.
It is. We went to get her mother of the bride dress and the lady was like, who's the mom? I was like, nice compliment for her, but like, I'm not her mom.
That one. All right. So just so everybody knows, you are my coach and are the sole reason. I mean, I'm awesome too, but us coaching together is the reason that I'm still coaching. The reason that I'm still, did you say rocking?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, let's be real, like changing people's lives over here. And it's freaking crazy to think about 3 years ago, not even knowing what the hell I was doing with my life, just knowing that I quit and was hoping to be a successful coach. And now talking to my coach about how awesome she is because that's the impact that she's had on me.
Thanks,
so
Em.
thank you, one. And two, are you ready to dive in with the fun questions that we're about to ask each other?
Yeah,
okay.
Let's do it.
So guys, on the first episode, this is like my new thing. Well, the whole podcast is new. But we're starting off with like random ass questions that we each picked for each other. All right. Can I ask you first?
Sure.
Okay. What's the most epic you've gotten lost story?
Okay. What comes to mind right away is it was 2009. So just bring yourself back to like what you were wearing in 2009 because that was a good look. And this is relevant. My friend and I just went to a Britney Spears concert. So
Oh my God.
it was amazing. It was amazing. So we went to a Britney Spears concert, and I was wearing these, remember like the knee-high boots that we were wearing? But they were pink.
Yes.
I was wearing pink knee-high heeled boots. And as we were walking out of the stadium, I'm just setting you up to the getting lost. So as we were walking out of the stadium, one of my heels just broke. So now I'm in like one knee-high pink patent leather boot and then one not. So then we get in the car, and we were freshmen in college at this time. So we're like uber broke, have no money. And my friend Kate, who I went with, had a friend that went to University of Minnesota. And so she was like, oh, you can crash in my dorm. It's all good. So we're going to find our way. You know, it's now like, it's late, it's dark, from this concert to her dorm. This is before cell phones had GPS. Like, we had printed off MapQuest directions to get to the stadium.
You're making it sound like we are so old.
I feel old when I tell this story. So I remember that we printed off MapQuest directions to get from Green Bay to Minnesota to the stadium. So we're trying to get, now it's like 11 or 12. It's late, it's dark. I have one heel on. We're trying to get to this dorm, and we cannot, and we're lost. And there's a moment of like, will we have to sleep in the car? Her friend's just not answering. So we pull into this gas station, and there's some police officers like filling up their tank with gas. And I kid you not, getting donuts and coffee. So like just stereotypical police officer behavior, getting donuts and coffee. And I like get out of the car in like my broken heel, and I'm asking them for directions to this dorm. Why Kate didn't get out of the car to ask for directions, I don't know, but it was me. And so finally, I think like 2 hours later, we make it, and it was in like a 1 mile radius. So we just, for 2 hours, we're lost in the city of Minneapolis after Britney Spears.
I'm so glad I chose that question. I am so glad. So I have like a huge book of questions that I just like pick one from based on what I think will be funniest for that person. You remember the year?
Well, it's interesting. It was like 1 week before I had my stroke. So it's very present because that was like my last hurrah.
Don't give it. Okay, that was a teaser, you guys.
That was the teaser. We'll tell you more about that.
Stay on to learn about the stroke. Okay, bring it on, girl.
Okay, what was your funniest first date?
This just happened.
Oh, I can't. Tell me more.
The first thing that you need to know is afterwards, the waiter was like, what the hell just happened? To the extent that he was like, all right, let's turn this night around. Went to the bar with me and we took a shot together. Okay.
Oh yeah.
I'm going to pick like
a first date.
I'm going to pick like one tiny part of it, and then also know that I have to tell you the full story later because it's great.
Cannot wait.
So we get there and he's like, oh, I've never tried Sauv Blanc because that's what I ordered. I was like, okay. So, I mean, like, who hasn't tried? It was just a weird thing to say. He was like, how would you describe it? And I was like, I guess if like Chardonnay and Pinot Grigio had a baby, which I was kind of impressed with my spot answer to that. That was not pre-planned. Let me know if you have a better description because right now.
I agree, but I feel like, and Riesling like somehow got in the mix too.
I think just like all the white wines put together.
That was like a pretty good table wine. Yeah.
So I'm an idiot. Story on my end, or lesson on my end, and was like, oh, do you want to sit? He was cute. I was like, all right, good way to start the date, good vibes. Take a sip. He was like, oh, that's actually pretty good. He then goes on to talk about his ex and his parents for a solid 20 minutes. Orders a shot for himself. Not that I would like say yes.
Like at the table?
at the table. Hey, waiter, can I have a shot? What do you want? Whatever's strongest.
He was so nervy.
I know. So I gave him the benefit of the doubt. The funny part that I'm going to choose to tell you is that throughout, he kept taking sips of my wine. Like just reaching over and drinking it. And then the day ended so badly that we split the check and he made me pay for the wine that he drank.
Oh, blessings to that, sir.
Oh, it was so great. It was so great.
Wow.
That's still
Fun. Like so fun.
I can't. All right. Let's jump into effing loving yourself or not effing loving yourself. This is literally the work that both of us do in different areas for women.
Yeah.
So you work with
soulful entrepreneurs. So anyone who has a business or
you're describing me right now, just so you know, so be careful.
Okay. So I'll do you justice beautifully. So it's most of our clients, 99% of our clients have a business, and some of them have a, like maybe 1%, a corporate job, but they have an entrepreneur mindset. And they're not just entrepreneurs, they're entrepreneurs who want to live from an aligned, heart-centered place. And so it's really important that every choice that they make feels really good for them, feels aligned with their truth. And so that's the people. And they get how worthy they are, and they know that standing in their power is very important.
Yes. Yes, 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 yes. Okay. That's amazing. So what is this whole shadow work thing that you wanted to talk about?
Okay, so Emily, you and I do this a lot. I just don't always say like, and now we're doing shadow work. We just do the work, if that makes sense. You know?
All right, good. I'm a pro.
You are. Okay, so I love shadow work, and shadow work, just in a big overarching term, the shadow part of you is the side of yourself that society might have a judgment on as bad or wrong, or like you have to keep it in a closet. So some examples might be if you sometimes think that you're selfish or greedy or lazy, or Emily, can you give an example that you think is a shadow part of you?
Too loud.
Too loud. Great. Any of those things that society at large would have us tuck away, that's a shadow part of ourselves. And what I love about shadow work is instead of trying to push those parts of us away or try to change or evolve those parts of us, what we actually get to do is just embrace them and step into the fullness, the wholeness of who we are, and get that shadow or light side. There's no good or bad. We actually get to be the fullness of who we are. And there's a lot of freedom and liberation that comes from doing what I call shadow work, of being, so shadow work is simply being the wholeness of who you are, because then you can live in your truth and you can live aligned, and it feels really good.
Yes.
And there's no more shoulds.
And it feels so good.
Yeah.
It feels so good. For society, so for the example that you just asked me on the spot of like people telling me throughout my life, like I'm a lie or I am too loud. And I know that you've been told this too, which is cool. And it's one, I know that. I know, but in a positive way. I know that I'm loud. I know that I'm outgoing. I know that I have a ton of energy. And I love that about myself. So over time, though, when people tell you this, or you sort of sense it, right? They're not always saying outright, like, hey, Emily, you're way too effing loud. Although sometimes that happens. It's kind of like beating down on you and subconsciously making you feel like those parts that you love about yourself are actually something to be shameful of.
Exactly. If we're not doing shadow work, then when we're told that, or we intuit that, or however it comes out that we that we think someone has that judgment on us, we then think the meaning we make of that is that like, uh-oh, I'm broken, or I have to be changed, or I have to be fixed, which isn't the truth. And so shadow work allows us to step into like, yeah, that's a part of me. That is a part of me. And I can actually embrace and love and celebrate the wholeness of who I am. And then I get to choose, does it serve me to come from that space in this moment?
Yes. Okay. You're so freaking awesome. And I know your backstory, but can you share it with everyone? Because it's just incredible how you got to where you are. So the way I'm going to prompt this is, why the hell do you do what you do? Why are you passionate about everything you just talked about?
Okay, so I'm going to take you back. I'm going to give you a high level version, but we're going to go way back to 2009. Remember me in those pink patent leather boots? It's 1 week after I get lost at the Britney Spears concert. So I'm a freshman in college and I had a stroke. I'm a 19-year-old woman who had a stroke. And what I know now that I didn't know then.
But were you wearing the same boots?
No, I was not. I had the stroke overnight. So I woke up already with the symptoms, but I didn't know. I had classic stroke symptoms, but I didn't know what a stroke was or what the symptoms were. I went to work and then either had a second stroke or it was ongoing and it like hit me like a new wave.
Wow.
So I was at work, so I was probably just wearing black. I worked at a spa. And so, Emily, have you ever read You Can Heal Your Life by Louise Hay?
You told me to a million times.
Okay, great. Well, the premise of the book of Louise Hay, I didn't know this then, but I know it now, is that all physical, what's the word I'm looking for? All physical
manifestations
come from emotional causes. Physical symptoms come from emotional causes. Our body, this is my belief, you can take it or leave it, but that our body has all of these emotions and then it does the best it can do to move them through. And so what I know now is that having a stroke, the emotional cause behind that is a disconnect from self-love. I think it actually goes as far to say self-hatred, which outwardly I would, if someone said, did you hate yourself at the age of 19? I would not say that I hated myself, but I would say that I thought I was broken and had a lot of things to fix if I ever wanted to be good enough, which is not loving.
Okay, the first thing that comes to my mind, because I've dealt with chronic pain, and I know that there's truth to what you just said. And how do you apply what you just said to a situation where my knee went sideways and I needed surgery? So it was an accident that happened and there was pain that came from that. How do you put those into each other?
I would also say that and things happen, like accidents happen. And so I'm not like I don't have the belief that you caused your knee to blow out and go sideways because of that. Like shit happens. I can be with that too. And interesting that if whatever that was connected with knee, which I think is not being willing to pivot, if you were at a place in your life where you were really anchored and attached and it has to be one way, of course, when the thing happened, it would be your knee instead of your ankle.
So kind of and let me know if you believe in this. I always say that I don't necessarily believe that things happen for a reason, but I believe that a reason comes from everything that happens.
Yeah. I think we're always sourcing and co-sourcing and co-creating our experiences, and we don't have to have blame on ourselves. And so when a physical symptom happens, yes, we get to have medical attention. I'm not just I didn't have a stroke and then now I'm just gonna manifest my way to
she just stayed home and had these gurus come over and tell her she was fine.
No, you get to have medical attention, but then it's helpful to look at what's going on for me emotionally that I can help shift so that I don't consistently perpetuate this expression of that emotion.
Got it. So with what you do, what's the most common block that you find for women that's keeping them from embracing their shadow self?
That they embracing from their shadow self. It's that still the common block that I experience is the same common block of not accepting their shadow self, is that they don't trust themselves fully. Because if I don't fully trust myself, how could I possibly trust myself to embrace this part of me that society wants me to think is bad?
Amazing. And I know that is not just like an overnight thing that happens.
Yeah.
For everyone listening, I'm sure they're thinking like, okay, that's great. That sounds awesome. But what the F? Now what?
Okay, so back to like how I was there to get here. So I had this stroke, and that set me on a trajectory of, first, for a couple years, it was like, I have to get my physical health in check. And I thought on paper that I was a healthy individual, but I realized that I got to actually have a lot of up levels and embrace a new level of health. And so I did the physical up leveling in my life. And then that brought me into a space of wanting to mentally up level. And so this is what brought me to deciding that I wanted to become a coach. And I invested and went through a coach training program. And that was an interesting point. I was now at the age of 25. So from 19 to 24, 25, I was solely focused on physical health. And then at 25, I was ready for this next expansion. And I was now $100,000 in debt. I finished college, private liberal arts school, had a second stroke, or it was a phantom stroke actually, but the hospital bills you the same, whether it's a phantom or a real. That's what I've learned. So I'm now.
Don't you love that?
So I'm now $100,000 in debt. And I've decided that it's time for a mental up level. And so I invested $16,000 in a program to have a personal transformation and become a coach. And so that was like another pivotal point in my life. And so for the next couple of years, I was really doing mindset work. That's what I mean by mental. I was doing mindset work of affirmations and playing with possibility and seeing things differently. And now for the last, I would say for a year, probably about 2 years, it's a spiritual up level. And it's seeing that all of them are connected. I get to keep paying attention to my physical being and my mental being. And it's really tapping into my intuition and trusting the divine channel downloads that I receive and being the spiritual being that I am. And so that's the trajectory of what got me there. And it's really important about that work. The work that I do now is to hold the space for my clients to step into trusting themselves, which means that I really get to trust myself.
I love that, because something happened recently between us that you said while you were just talking, an intuitive hit. And honestly, before I started working with you, if I heard that, I'd be like, all right, you're crazy. I mean, I love crazy, but I wouldn't have understood it.
Yeah.
And what happened over the past 2 weeks, do you want to share your part of it when you told me about the energetic shift?
So I called Emily, like seemingly out of the blue, but I was like, Emily, I'm intuiting some information that there's a big up level coming for you. And I just wanted to speak this to you. I want you to know that I see this vision and I'm holding this for you. And I can sense that you're about to have an energetic up level and some big things are coming for you. So just buckle up.
And I was like, great, I'm excited for that to happen. And I had just moved back to the city and I was definitely in this hardcore transition mode. And then the next week, I meet like 6 individual women with goosebump connection vibes. Like, I met someone, we had a conversation in a coffee shop, we both got the chills, and I started crying because it was just such a strong connection. I had more enrollments that week than I had in the past 2 months.
Yeah.
And point of that is twofold. It's the energetic shift that came into play and trusting your intuitive guides on your end and on the receiving end. There is a trust factor though. Like that's different than just like going to a fair and being like, tell me my future.
Totally. Yeah. What I believe is happening is that I'm just picking up on your truth, on your energy.
Yes.
And I could just feel that. I was like, I can feel this happening for you. And what I know, one of the reasons I've decided that I am going to share when that comes for the people that have already opted in, that are my clients and have said, yes, like I'm here to be open to what you have, is because if you were starting to feel this, but you were in a place of like, man, I don't know if this is going to happen for me. I don't know if I can trust myself. I want to offer some evidence of, I feel it too. I see it too. Go ahead and trust yourself.
So it's kind of that shadow work of self-doubt that can creep in and hold you back, that then you're there as a stand for transformation to hold that space for me to really step into it.
Yeah.
I would love for you to take us through a brief little shadow work exercise.
Okay, so let's all do this together. Emily, you and I can model it, and everyone else you can share in the chat if you want to, or you can just do this on your own. So go ahead and think about a quality of you that maybe other people have pointed out as like what I'll say is a quote unquote negative. I don't really believe in negative positive, but like as a negative. Like Emily said that she was too loud. I think mine is that I'm selfish. So think about a part of you, a way of being that you sometimes choose. Yes, Emily, what's yours?
Can I switch mine?
Yeah.
Okay, mine is that I'm too flirtatious.
Great. Okay, so too flirtatious, selfish. Maybe for some of you, it's that you're told that you're lazy, or you've been told that you're greedy, or you've been told that you are too quiet or too sensitive. So go ahead and think too big, physically too big a personality. Yeah, go ahead and think about the things that people have said to you. One thing that if someone said to me, like, you're so selfish, before doing this work, that could really irk me. You know, I could be like, oh my gosh. So think about that thing. So then what I want to invite you to do is just breathe that in. Just like take a deep breath in and just let that come into your space. And actually take ownership of, you can either, I am selfish, or whatever your word is, or I can be selfish, whatever your word is. You just want to like integrate that in your body. And I want you to think about a time in your life when either it actually served you to be that way, or a possible experience when you could see it serving you. So I'll give you an example. My shadow side that I'm playing with right now is being selfish. And so when I was 19 and I had my stroke, I was in the hospital for a week, and they were taking my blood about every 2 hours. And so, there's only so many veins, and you're also very dehydrated, and like, you're out of sorts. Like, it's a very traumatic experience. And so after a couple days, I have no more veins left. They've blown my veins. There's like no more blood to give, basically. And they asked if they could bring.
Sorry, I can't not laugh.
I know, right? They asked if they could bring some students in to come and practice taking blood. And at first I was like, okay. And it went horribly the first one. And then I had to be selfish and just say, you know what? I know that you're trying to teach them. I know that they're here to learn, but I need to protect my body right now. Like, I'm fighting for survival. And so I cannot use my body as a pincushion for this practice. I want these people to practice. I want them to learn, and I need to be selfish to literally survive this moment. And so it really served me to be selfish in that moment.
I love that.
Thank God I'm selfish.
And it's great because you described yourself as selfish in the beginning of this. And I've heard, like, I know you, I've heard about this, but I know, and you know, you definitely know that people heard that and were like, why is she saying that out loud?
Right. And because I can just embrace the wholeness of me. You know, I'm not here to pretend that I'm like, I'm not vibrating at the level that Jesus or Buddha was yet. Like, I'm a human and sometimes I'm selfish, and it's just okay to be the wholeness of who I am. So Emily, what was your example? When is a time that you have, or you can imagine when it would be good to be too flirtatious?
Okay. So what I've realized as I've gotten older is that what is misconstrued by others as being flirtatious with men in a negative way, like, you are such a, you know, like negative connotations about it.
Mm-hmm.
Stop going and flirting with everyone, like you're leading them on, blah, blah, blah. I realized that I act the same exact way around women. The same exact way.
Okay, so here's a time when it's really going to serve you to be flirtatious. When you meet your future soulmate and you flirt with him and he sees the wholeness of who you are, it is really going to serve you. We will say, thank God Emily was the fullness of who she is in that moment.
Yes. And it's also what has allowed me to be fully me. Once I realized that that was me with everyone, it was so empowering. And honestly, that's how I was able to start my business. That's how I have been able to attract clients in the most random ass places.
So it serves you. Okay, so then to finish the exercise, so what you do is you first identify what's the shadow part of yourself. You just breathe that in, create a little bit of acceptance. Then you tap into either a time in your past when it actually served you to be that way, or you imagine in the future a time when it would serve you. And then you just fully anchored into your body. So now I'm like, yeah, I am selfish. Being selfish is a choice that I can make. And then the final step is to decide, and is that how I want to show up right now? And will it serve me to show up that way right now? So what the whole point of it is just to take the charge off of it. So I might decide like, okay, I'm okay with being selfish. That's okay. It doesn't have to trigger me. And I don't need to be selfish in this moment.
That's huge.
But I'm not bad or wrong because I sometimes am.
So that in order to embrace that quality of yourself, it's not about being that 24/7 to prove that that's okay.
Right.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it's taking the judgment away. Shadow work takes the judgment away. Most of society wants to put things in like good, bad, right, or wrong. It's good to be this way. It's bad to be this way. It's right to be this way. It's wrong to be this way. And shadow work says like, wait a second. We actually are dynamic humans that have this whole scale of ways that we can be. And none of it is right, wrong, good, or bad. Sometimes it will really serve me to be selfish, and sometimes it won't. And I just get to choose.
You get to choose.
Yeah. Like, Emily, it probably won't serve you to be really flirty if you're at like a funeral and everyone is having a total breakdown. You know, it's just not going to serve you to like show up in a flirty way.
Yeah,
and
probably not.
Choose that.
No.
Yeah. So it's like, I don't have to be that way 24/7, but it's like, I get to choose what will serve me in this moment and what will serve the greatest good in this moment.
Okay. So that is how that ties in to loving effing all of you.
Yes. Because when you effing love your whole self, it means your whole self, all the parts of you. That's the work that I love getting to do with my clients. And, we don't always have a conversation so like shadow work, but throughout our sessions, we're like, wait a second, let's look at that part of you. What if it actually wasn't that you're broken, or that you have to fix it, or that you have to change in order to be good enough, but that we can just love the fullness of who you are? What will you create then?
I am just so grateful to have someone like you in my life and inspire me to step into this version of myself that I didn't know existed. I knew there was something more. I knew there was a part of me that I hadn't discovered yet, but I didn't know how to get there. And until I knew how to get there, there was no way I could continue helping other women get there. And just on a personal note, I think that's what I have learned most from being connected to you. And it's really amazing. So I hope that everyone listening right now was able to sense that vibrational energy and get that little jumpstart, that like something light up inside them to want to move forward and discover how awesome you are and can be.
Thanks, Em. Yes, that is my goal for those listening is, what if today you decided that you didn't have to look at yourself as broken or need fixing, or that you even had to judge yourself, but that you could just look and decide to love and embrace every part of you? What would be possible then?
So amazing. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me. This was so amazing.
So fun. Love you all.